Today, I'm a Tato Farmer. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. I got some sort of weird swoopy hair thing going on over here. Awesome. Camera's rolling. We're just moving on. Today's deck list comes to us from Robert, and this is a black-green sort of lands stompy deck. The idea here is to power out cards that look like Freestrider Lookout and Barrogoyf to have an early aggressive option. Now, they're not aggressive in the Murktide Regent sense, where they are just going to kill you immediately, but Freestrider Lookout can provide an insane amount of value when things go well, especially when paired with cards like Ghost Vacuum and Wasteland that you see from this deck. And Barrogoyf is kind of cool in this deck in that you might miss a creature with only 11 cards, but you might mill over a life from the Loam, which might be even better than finding a creature in the first place. And then we have a Fallout card here that I have never seen in action before, the Tato Farmer. So landfall, you get 2 rad counters. And the rad counter text is something like, at the beginning of your upkeep, mill cards equal to the number of rad counters you have, and then remove a rad counter. So you could do something like play this, fetch land 4 rad counters immediately, and then you start fueling your graveyard quickly, helping you find your life from the Loam, fueling your Barrogoyfs, and you do have all sorts of different card types here beyond that a normal, say, tempo deck wouldn't. And then you can mill some cards and end up being able to just floop some extra lands into play. I don't know that if this is strong enough or consistent enough, but it's neat enough that I am willing to give it a try here. I have not messed with the core of Robert's deck here. Most of this is what they submitted. One of the big things I did, though, was add extra colored mana sources. Something I find in a lot of these land style decks is that they are, by design, pretty greedy in terms of mana and very light on the colorless sources. I added 2 more green sources to this deck, taking some of the utility lands that were in the main deck, and even after adding 2 more green sources, we're only up to 17, some of which might ETB tapped, and some of these are not color sources for Barrogoyf in particular. As far as the sideboard goes, we've got a pretty balanced array of things. We have some Haymaker cards versus fair blue decks. We have some number of sort of anti-combo cards here, a little bit of graveyard hate, and we'll just kind of see how this plays out today. And should you need your Tato Farmers, please consider getting them from toamagic.com and using promo code ThrabenU to save a little bit on your order when you do so. I love the folks over at TOA. They have treated me very, very well. All right, with that being said, let's battle. Hello, Phil from the future here. My recommended round for this video is round 5, which features some new cards from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles set. Enjoy the show. I have a hand that I think is a keep. It's a little weird, though. I think we're going find a save till later. Yeah. I'm going to make this land drop and pass the turn. I have a crop rotation up for an opposing wasteland. Basic plains, sure. And Guide of Souls, got it. I have a Tabernacle in my sideboard. I think what I'm going to do is surveil land here. Okay, I did hit another land drop. We're going to call that fine. Do I want this in my graveyard? I might want that in play. Sometimes I can just kill my opponent if I go for it here. But they might go to 21. I think I'm going to set up for a longer game. In case it wasn't clear, I can crop rotation Underground Mortuary, turn it into Dark Depths, tap 1 and 2, and just make a thing. But I think I don't mind baiting a Swords to Plowshares or Solitude or whatever using a Freestrider Lookout. There is a Wasteland. Guess that's a reason to YOLO immediately. Hopefully they don't use it right now and I can have crop rotation up. All right. That will put my opponent to 21. There is 6. A lot of top end right now. believe... Like, I know this Wasteland situation is coming. I think we're in. Grab Dark Depths. 1 and 2. Copy Dark Depths. Keep the one with no ice counters. Make my friendo. Send in with this. I probably was supposed to attack with this first. Alright, opponent goes to 18. My body is ready for Caracas. Ah, there we go. Fucking streamer luck, baby. Oh, that's great. Alright. This is the, like, chuckles, I'm in danger meme. 6, notably, is also a legendary creature. How much am I taking here? 6 damage. Disgusting. And my opponent is going to be pretty great at flying over their creatures. I think we went for it and missed. I'm going to call that GG there. I have some other lines on that turn. I could crop rotation away the same land, get Wasteland, Wasteland, the Wasteland. But we just didn't quite deploy all of our cards super well. If I could play the second Freestrider Lookout while triggering both at the same time, I think this game would be very easy to outplay my opponent in a fair capacity. But that didn't happen. So I think there's a Bojuka Bog in here. We can turn that into a Tabernacle. I want this Blast Zone. I want to give up Talon Gates for that. I could maybe give up a Wasteland there. My opponent will have, excuse me, a fair number of basics. I think I am going to turn Legendary Creature 6 into 2 copies of Abrupt Decays, and Tato Farmers into Endurances because they rumble a little bit better in fair combat and can pressure a Planeswalker if we get into those sorts of situations. I will keep Pithing Needle for Caracas and Wasteland and potentially the backside of Ajani if we go down that route. Oh, that is a lot of colorless mana. Is that fine? I still have these out in columns. How many green sources was that? 17? And I don't need to hit every single time. Let's not. Okay, this is totally fine. I can keep this and pitch 1 life from the Loam in case my opponent starts with something like a Leyline of the Void. Hey, streamer luck today, baby. Now it is very important that this Underground Mortuary finds me something to put Freestrider Lookout into play. So we will Exploration. Mortuary. I will keep that land. That is exactly what we are looking for. The goal is get 2 Freestrider Lookouts in play and then find something like a Wasteland that we can use and get multiple Freestrider Lookout triggers and then hopefully start running away with the game. There is an Ocelot Pride. I will be able to block that. That's not a big deal. Grab a Bayou. Play a friend. The life from the Loam being shut down from Leyline of the Void is kind of a big deal. I think I have a Boseiju in the mana base that answers this. Maybe 2. Arid Mesa from the opponent. Ocelot Pride is going to start doing Ocelot Pride crimes, unfortunately. I'll go to 21 and my opponent gets a cat. Mox Diamond, very bad here without the support of the life from the Loam, but we will play a second thing that walls Ocelot Pride, and hopefully it's fine. Sitting with 2 dead cards here, which is not fantastic. Am I eating another swords? It's so rough if that is the case. Okay, cool. Cool. Land drop number 3. Okay, cool. No immediate attack, so no Trixies there. I have 1 Surveil land. I put 1 of these in there. Okay, I do have 1 Boseiju. So this is not doing me a ton of good. I might hold this for Mox Diamond purposes for if I hit Boseiju. I think my position is very bad here. I think if I don't get this going, it is very likely that I will concede the game within 2 turns. Alright, Wasteland is bad for me. My opponent not having anything to play, though, is good for me. Okay, Thespian Stage. That at least can trigger Freestrider Lookout. I think I don't need to play the second Verdant or Mox Diamond it yet. There's a weird timing dance here with when I activate this Thespian Stage, because Tabernacle exists, which makes me want to activate it on my turn. But if I do that, it almost certainly gets Wastelanded. All right. There is a very small chance that something totally fucking rad happens here. Let's Thespian stage. All I have to do is target it, right? It doesn't have to resolve. Yes. Target a Sunbaked Canyon. Trigger Freestrider Lookout. Talon Gates of Madara saves my creature if I hit it here. I hit Dark Depths. Alright, so my opponent is going to sack the Canyon. And that's going to fizzle my Thespian stage ability. And now I'm going to lose the Lookout. I have my theoretical combo, but my opponent is going to have the ability to disrupt that. I'll take a little bit of damage. More importantly, though, my opponent now has the City's Blessing. And we'll see if I get Wastelanded. I do not get Wastelanded. This, however, is kind of cool. I think we're now in multiple land drop territory. I think I'm going to preemptively fetch so timing can't get weird. Grab a Bayou, pass the turn. I'm going to let my opponent pay for their Static Prison to just decrease the amount of energy that they have. And I'm pretty likely to Blast Zone away Static Prison and Ocelot Pride. There's other options. Like, I could try to get this to 4 and take out a ley line. I think we're doing this anyway. So, 1, 2, 3. I will lose my exploration in doing this. Alright. I get a cat thrown at my face. Freestrider Lookout comes back. I will block a cat. We'll see if all 3 cats just get thrown at Freestrider Lookout. No! Going to face. So that'll be 14 for me. There's more cats with the ability to transform. Hate that. So here's the transform. I'm going to be at 13, and the Ajani 0 is now going to kill Freestrider Lookout before I get some sick value. Alright. Wish I had Urborg or a Yavimaya. Activate Thespian stage in response. Oh, deck. Alright. My opponent is now going to be able to kill me pretty quickly. And also potentially get above 20. So that I can't steal a win, even if I thread the needle on double Wasteland. Here is 5 damage on the attack. I'm going to 8. That's just dead, right? 5 damage puts me to 3, and then my opponent just flings a bunch of cats at my face. That is all she wrote there. Meaning that we just got run over in this match. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com. If you're looking to store your decks online, you're not going to find a better website. It's super organized and easy to use, and I sort everything that I do into a ton of format-specific folders, and you can customize the way that you use Moxfield to your liking. Whether you like text views or visual views of multiple different natures, Moxfield has it all. And it's so easy to use, you might even say that it's a snap. All right. We are on the draw. We have an exploration hand. I have Life from Loam. I have Wasteland. I have Crop Rotation. There's a lot to like about this one. We have an Arid Mesa and a Mox Diamond. So land drop, exploration, Mox Diamond, discard Dark Depths. Land number 2 is Wasteland, Life from the Loam, targeting Dark Depths. That is a very, very strong opening turn. And next turn, I can potentially mess with my opponent's mana. Or otherwise just YOLO a Merit Lage. Basic Mountain. Basic Plains. Maybe a run back of the previous round. Seems like yes. Looks like the UI for this has changed slightly. Alright. I think I'm into green mana. Crop Rotation away the Wasteland. Get Thespian stage. There's Dark Depths. I can play another land drop here. I can go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 for Loam. Play another land drop. Then go green, green, Thespian stage, target Dark Depths. Keep this one. I can now do this same thing every turn for the rest of the game. And I have a Wasteland for Caracas if my opponent happens to have that. Vengeance! GG. Ran over energy very, very quickly there. Our start was great. Let's do roughly what we did last time. I think I boarded in 6 cards. I think it looked like this. I think it was Tato Farmer out for Endurance. I remember a Bojuka Bog went out. I think I trimmed a Wasteland for the other land that I brought in. And then I went down on 6 for being a legendary creature in a Caracas matchup. Given that my previous opponent had Leyline of the Void, I guess I can also think about Force of Vigor. I think I am hoping to win through that rather than board in cards to remove it. This is fine. All right, cool. No Leyline. Basic planes and pass the turn. That is fine by me. I think I'm going for a Bayou here, given that I'm going to be playing another land that is susceptible to Wasteland anyway. And then there's the Mortuary. I am fine just seeing another land. It means that I can play a 3-drop next turn while still just having crop rotation available. Unfortunately, another basic land and Voice of Victory. You've got it. So Voice of Victory makes things a little weirder here. I'm going to fetch and look at what I can crop rotation that does a crime. I could get Tabernacle. That's not a crime, but it's pretty fucking annoying. Or I could, like, trigger immediately with Talon Gates for my value. I think I'm into just triggering immediately with Talon Gates. And I can put this back into the graveyard and potentially replay it later. Sort of a weird aggro use of a crop rotation. Phase out the Voice, trigger Freestrider Lookout, get a fetch land, and pass. I don't get to have fun on my opponent's turn, so I can't kind of save that crop rotation to do something more interesting with it. Boseiju. Sure. I will just be playing that as a land, so I can both activate Urza Saga and play either Barrogoyf or Endurance. So, yeah. I think I'm going to play the Endurance. Do I want to attack with Freestrider Lookout into Orcish Bowmasters or Felia? I don't know that I do. I think I'm just going to go bam, bam, and bam. Sorcery speed, play that out. And I think I'll just pass the turn here. See what sort of nonsense my opponent is up to. Oh, it's just surveilling. All right. Now I might have missed 3 points of damage. Okay, well, last time around we got wrecked by energy, and this time around we wrecked energy, and these games were not close. GG. Okay, with no soul land or exploration here, I don't know that this goes fast enough. I'm going to go ahead and mulligan this one. Oh, shit. Okay, I need to math. Play land drop, play exploration, play land drop, play exploration. No. Play land drop, play exploration. Play land, Mox Diamond, discard land, Loam. Yes. Yeah? 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 Everything's just working. Yeah? Yeah? Draw 2 cards. Alright. Ready to die on turn 1 to oops all spells after having something like that happen? My body is ready. Alright, dodged that bullet. Would you like to fetch a land that I could wasteland? I would enjoy that. I'm absolutely fine milling the cards here. Oh shit, Urza's Saga. Fuck yeah. Do I wasteland the fetch land to see if my opponent has a basic land? I don't think so. Yavimaya, Urza Saga. 1 and 2. I think I'm okay playing this land, but I don't have to. I think if I don't have to, I will hold that one for a turn. Throw a Verdant Catacombs into play, pass the turn. I technically have Boseiju available if I need it. My opponent can't really surveil land, or they get murked by this wasteland. My main phase? Oh, baby. The wasteland hungers. Hello, Emrakul. That's what I would expect after seeing Thundering Falls. But I'm very surprised that my opponent just fetched in the first place there. It seems like you just hold this until you get Ancient Tombs Show and Tell, right? Goodbye, Thundering Falls. And I will pass the turn with the ability to surveil land for an additional land. And I have a couple of different ways to start looking for Arrakis. I can surveil, I can tutor off an expedition map off of Urza's Saga. Dredge with Life from the Loam. Also have Maze of Ith as something that is potentially relevant as well. Oh, yeah. I guess I just draw that. That is a thing that I quite want. So draw, pick Urza Saga up. I think I play Yavimaya, but don't play Boseiju. Boseiju technically can do things against an Omniscience. Brainstorm is fine. That was a very fast brainstorm. All right, there's the Ancient Tomb. Okay, it is stock up rather than show and tell. That is great for me. Now I can end up dredging Life from the Loam. Junk the Ancient Tomb. 1 and 2. Now I need to do some math. So if I do this again, I think I'm good to dredge. All right, so I will go Ya. Trigger on the stack. Crop rotation away the Urza Saga. Ooh, opponent is thinking about letting it resolve. Okay, they did let it resolve. So I know that if I go for Life from the Loam on Wasteland, it gets countered this turn. I really want to get Caracas, but it might just be that Wasteland in the short term taking out that Ancient Tomb is better. I think it is. Now I can resolve this ability. Think get map. Wasteland, Ancient Tomb. Play Boseiju while I still have the maximum number of artifacts in play. Attack for 4. Bring opponent to 13. Then go ahead and Expedition map. Get Caracas. Play Caracas as my land for turn. And we Loam next turn instead. I'll have to jump through some hoops if I need to get my Boseiju back, though. The cantrips are fine. There's an Ancient Tomb. Okay. Green mana. It's show and tell time. It is show and tell time. So we are afraid of Omniscience here. There's Omniscience. Okay, that's fine. This is not doing anything scary immediately. That's fine. So at this stage, I don't know that the dredging is good. So let's go Wasteland, Saga, Wasteland. 1 and 2. I am expecting a Force of Will on this. I am wrong. Land number 1. Land number 2. Yeah. Okay, here is the Force of Will. I'm attacking for 6 this turn and lethal next turn. I don't know that my opponent's Ancient Tomb does anything while Omniscience is in play. So I'm not going to wasteland that. I might end up wastelanding my own Boseiju and picking it up to kill an Omniscience or something. So, how good was that top card? Perhaps not good enough. Life from the Loam. You do anything, you get rid of Omniscience. Combat? It is possible that there is some defensive card like a Brazen Borrower here that could keep my opponent alive for a turn. Yeah. After no blocks. Make a friend. This is 8 damage. Hot damn. It felt like my opponent just had a bag of bricks over there. That went so well for us. GG's. Choke is reasonable. Flute and Sphere are reasonable. Force of Vigor is reasonable. Bog's uses are very niche here. I will probably get rid of that. Ghost Vacuum is super cool with Freestrider Lookout. I think I'm just gonna need to make some room. What do you think? I need to trim some 3-drop creatures for sure. Probably need to trim about 4 of them. Maybe these 4? This still puts me over the line in terms of getting down to 60 cards. I'm very sure that I want all of this, especially since my opponent is going to be incentivized to get their basic land that my wastelands don't interact with. It may be that I just junk a couple of Barrogoyfs as well. It is a Death Toucher that could technically like rumble with an Atraxa. I think we're trying to deal with that via like Maze, Caracas, Talon Gates type stuff. Yeah, I could buy. Oh, that's 59 now. Keep one? Keep a 6? I'll keep 1 Goyf. Oh, that is no colored mana. That is not going to do it despite having Stage and Depths in the same hand. This is absolutely fine. This just plays a Sphere of Resistance on turn 1, with Life from the Loam as the long-term plan. Flooded Strand and pass the turn. Let's get more lands into graveyard here. Get the forest for later. Attempt a crop rotation. Opponent says no. That's a pretty big setback. So opponent can have a little bit of setup time here. I don't outright die to an Atraxa being cheated in. An Emrakul being cheated in is real bad though. Opponent says no to a land. Alright, are we getting turn 2'd? No, it is stock up. That is reasonable, but slightly awkward in that if I have to use that on a sneak attack or an omniscience, my primary game plan falls apart as of right now. Alright, opponent is just passing the turn. Sphere? Despite this, I think. It's certainly awkward though. Opponent is floating mana, perhaps for an Abrade style card. Be a suplex. Untimely malfunction. Sure. So this next turn is the turn where sneak attack plus activate could happen. Alright. There it is. I have priority. I can attempt to kill this. I don't know that I need to with Disruptor Flute here. My opponent has already played their land. Okay, not another visible creature. Alright, Delta, Petal, Stock Up, Brainstorm. I think I'm just letting that resolve. I can't see another creature. There is one unknown card. It's very unfortunate if it's an Emrakul and I don't answer the sneak attack here. I will take 7. I accept this. Notably, opponent had access to a Boseiju there and did not take it. So now I will go bam and bam, and we'll put the flute on the sneak attack. Oh, we will not. Force pitching Omniscience. That occurs. I will drop this, and now I think I need to Force of Vigor the sneak attack. My opponent can Brainstorm in response, though, which is unfortunate. Oh, they did not? Wild. It seems like hitting an Emrakul there just effectively wins the game. Honestly, the Atraxa there seems very good as well. Alright. I don't know anything about my opponent's hand anymore. Uh-oh. I'm not bringing anything to class. Opponent has brought Atraxa. Finding Force of Negation. Yuck. I'm gonna have to try to bait that out if my opponent takes that. Show and Tell, Tarn, Lotus Petal, Brainstorm. Okay, cool. Wait, Show and Tell, Tarn, Lotus Petal, Brainstorm. They did not keep Emrakul? Okay. Seems good for me. So, Life from the Loam. 1 and 2 targets. Yeah. Land drop 1. Exploration. Land drop 2 of Windswept Heath. And this can now help look for something else. Caracas's big game. Yep. I'm not dying to the Atraxa because of Maze of Ith. So that's the good news. We Bosejuing? I don't care if you Boseju the Maze of Ith. I'll take 7. I'm not dying to that. Okay. Opponent is going so low from their own lands. Which is fine. I'm not pressuring their life total. They have dealt 13 to themselves and aren't showing any signs of letting up. Alright, there's a shuffle. There's yet another show and tell. Alright, that's a new Atraxa. Making it so that they can't attack anymore. Which is relevant if they find Boseiju. I don't think my opponent has a clear plan for how they are winning. And this is giving me a real leg up. They're probably going to surgical my Life from the Loam, which is annoying. Surgical Boseiju, show and tell. Alright, they have still managed to do this. I guess I will pick up Bayou now and Mortuary in a second. Yeah, but they have missed 7 points of damage by not keeping the Atraxa that could attack. That's huge. That gives me another turn. I'll also see what they choose to surgically extract. I imagine you take the Loam. They might go for the Maze instead. Okay. So they are doing this in a way that doesn't allow me to hit another Life from the Loam. So I'm actually going to have a better shot at hitting things like Caracas and Dark Depths and whatnot by my opponent doing it with this timing. Plus, if I put something on top that I wanted to keep, they can force the shuffle. A lot of little spots for learning here. Hey, there's a crop rotation for a Caracas. Or alternatively, a Dark Depths. Either way, I am topping that card. Lightning Bolt. If I Caracas the Atraxa, my opponent can just show and tell it again. They have the last show and tell. I think I am doing Dark Depths. I think I will let it get into my opponent's turn. Force of Negation will already be hard castable on my opponent's turn. I think I want to try to eat this Atraxa in combat. Crop rotation, sacrificing this. Alright, there is a Force of Will, pitching the last show and tell. I take 7, go to 4. Opponent brainstorms and ponders, shuffling the cards put back from the brainstorm. Now we have a sneak attack. If this stuff was going to happen, it potentially could happen pre-combat, so that if you have a creature, or you find a creature off of this, you kill me that turn. I'm going to copy a tropical island on the off chance that that is relevant at some point later in the game. All right. Well, there's an expedition map. This is countered, I am dead. It's not countered, I am miserable, but not dead. All right, it is countered, I am dead. That is unfortunate. We get another chance. Man, choke would have been good that game. Such is life. Oh, that's awkward. I think it's a keep, but it's slightly awkward. I have 3 different hate cards here, essentially. I am fine taking the extra land, given the mana requirements of this hand. Thespian Stage is also a useful land. Lotus Petal, Eluded Delta, and opponent passes. So I am interested in baiting the initial counterspell with Exploration. Alright, opponent has Force of Will, and is going back and forth about whether or not they want to do it. They might be surveilling first now. Nope. Alright, they're going to brainstorm first and decide. Alright, I do get countered pitching a Stifle. I am just going to wasteland the shit out of this volcanic island then. We can play Sphere next turn. Alright, did not get stifled. Excellent. ETB tapped land. Totally fine. Nice. So here is a new exploration. I think I'm going bam, 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 given that my opponent F6'd and I just know that Sphere is now going to resolve. I think Wasteland was supposed to be one of the lands that I play, though, so that if my opponent somehow show and tells through this, I can put an untapped Caracas in. My hope is now that they ponder, and then I play an uncounterable choke. Lol. I guess that's a punish on me for not playing out the Wasteland that was correct to play out. But I was not expecting that to be a reason why it was correct. Alright, there's a choke. Bulk is now no good. There's an Ancient Tomb. That's bad. Ooh, seems like opponent does not have mana to do their thing. It is a... oh, no, that is a stock up that costs them Lotus Petal and Hedge Maze. That is a rough exchange. I don't know the remaining 2 cards of their hand, but it is very possible that it was not correct to cast those cards. This will represent a Surveil land for me. I'd like to find something that just gets me Dark Depths. Lotus Petal, and a land. Opponent's doing okay in the mana department. I will surveil. I will not surveil. That's right there. I will thin a Bayou from my deck. Actually, I already have green, in case a Magus of the Moon type situation happens. Let's get the basic. I will copy Ancient Tomb in case the extra mana is relevant through Sphere of Resistance at some point. Maze of Ith is an okay pickup. We'll probably switch my Ancient Tomb Thespian Stage to being on Maze of Ith now. There's a new land drop. Opponent is chilling. Copy Maze. New Thespian Stage. I think Timeout has officially become a reasonable win condition here as well. Thespian Stage will also copy Maze of Ith. Mox Diamond, bad draw. We basically don't care about Atraxa anymore. Emrakul is relevant. Yeah. I'm looking for a Goyf. Little targeting buddy, Freestrider Lookout, the Barrogoyf, a crop rotation, an Urza's Saga. Basically any proactive card. Alright, opponent started to tap 2 Maze of Iths to do something and then decided against it. Alright, well. This can be regular mana. We're in play. Tropical Island. Alright, mana not a bottleneck. Alright, hello Mox Diamond. It is turn 11. I am 20 cards through my deck. I have not found a threat. Admittedly, I sideboarded out about 4 threats. Still slightly unfortunate. That is a threat. That instantly kills my opponent if it resolves. Big if. Alright, end of turn. I have Yavimaya, so I don't need to think about which land it is. Sacrifice an Ancient Tomb. Alright, there's Force of Will and a Show and Tell for our trouble. We'll take it. Disruptor Flute is fine. On Show and Tell? I think on Show and Tell. I do have to tap one of my Maze of Iths to accomplish this, though. My opponent pitched a Show and Tell, which is something you normally don't do playing this deck, which makes me think that they have another Show and Tell. Costs infinity mana now. Honestly, though, another land drop can potentially still get them to the Show and Tell, but buying time off an Omniscience is also totally reasonable. You Bosejuing? If you're Bosejuing, it's gotta be the choke. Otherwise, you lose 2 lands here. Alright. I think they have the Boseju and are gonna do it off an Ancient Tomb instead. That is an expensive Ponder. Opponent loses access to that land forever. Again, we are suspecting Boseju, though. It'd be a great time for a second choke. I don't know that I cold call Boseju, but I'm certainly thinking about it. The problem is that, like, my own Boseju is relevant versus Omniscience on a Sphere of Resistance. Fascinating. Is not where I thought we were going with that. So now all this shit doesn't untap. Sneak Attack seems fully off the table. I guess I just flute Show and Tell yet again. I guess there's also the Yggdrasil thing. The opponent has 2, 4, 5 mana. This is off the table. Show and Tell is off the table. There's one Show and Tell in exile. I haven't seen the others. I think it's still Show and Tell. It doesn't make sense to me to attack that if you've just got the Yggdrasil, I think. Okay, there goes another Show and Tell. That's fine. I could have resolved that while the second sphere was still in play. Okay. Opponent has Ancient Tombs for days. I just need a threat. That is a threat. Excellent. So now, I think I will turn 1 Maze of Ith into another Urza's Saga. I think I will keep 2 mazes. Alright. This activates an Urza's Saga. This activates an Urza's Saga. This Life from the Loam costs 3 mana, but gets 3 mana right back. Okay. Yeah. 1. This one can't activate anyway. 2, 3. Land drop. Pass. And we win a very long, drawn-out game there. I think my opponent made a bunch of missteps that made their life harder. I made a couple of small misplays as well. I said before it happened that I should have played Wasteland rather than, I think it was a Thespian stage at the time, and then my Wastelands got extracted and it was relevant. Good old 16-turn game of Prison versus Show and Tell. GG. Alrighty, I am on the play here. I think I am going to go ahead and keep my hand. I'm fetching. Played against this opponent yesterday, and they were on that, like, very aggressive Affinity 8-cast style deck. I think I am probably going to just play Pithing Needle on turn 1, and I think just throw it on something like Emery that my opponent was playing yesterday. Emery's maybe a worse name than Urza's Saga since I have Caracas, but I have Wasteland for Urza's Saga, so, you know. Lotus Petal, Patchwork Automaton, and we'll see how much my opponent is able to grow this thing. I've got a Death Toucher here. I think I just play the Death Toucher now. It means that I don't hit land drop 2 this turn. I think that's fine. I don't care if I trade away the Goyf if I have Freestrider Lookout and the ability to do something broken with it. I'm glad that artifacts are leaving play. I don't want my opponent to assemble a Kappa Cannoneer. The ward for that is honestly kind of some horseshit. And I don't have Tabernacle in game 1 for some of the Pinnacle Emissary nonsense that can happen. Alright, new Mox Opal. Think into Stupor. Okay, I mean, the Time Walk there is fine. That's worth a spell. Opponent redraws. Yavimaya is fine. Now this turn I can Loam. I can go land drop, Loam, get Misty back, land drop. I think I will just fetch with this to put this land back into the... I guess I don't need to do it now. I can fetch next turn just the same. So there's Goyf. Actually, it's relevant because there's not a land in the graveyard yet. I gain 1 more life if I fetch now, but I guess I lose that life, but I'm probably losing the life anyway. All right. Opponent is chilling. Yeah, sure. A Maze of Ith. Can't wasteland any of my opponent's stuff. I'm pretty good picking up that Maze of Ith, though. Maze of Ith Lookout is a thing. Value this turn. Bam, bam. 1 and 2. 1 and 2. I think I'm going to go bam, bam, bam. I think I'm good there. Next turn, I will probably attack with the Barrogoyf. It may already be fine to do so. I will now surveil. The life from the Loam can go to the graveyard. We've got enough of those. Oh my god. All right. I will do one of these. Barrogoyf is a 5/6. I think given the maze, I'm okay cracking in here. Put some pressure on my opponent. Okay, we are going to trade. This is fine. Makes it harder for my opponent to get Kappa into play, which is super relevant. So Wasteland, Misty, some other land, 1 and 2. Then land drop, pass turn. I have mana to pay for Ward on Patchwork Automaton with Maze of Ith. Love for my opponent to play any land. I'm assuming that there's a couple of lands in hand over there that my opponent is holding for this. All right, seems like they're just passing. I am a-okay thinning some lands out of the deck here. There's a Bayou. Yeah. I'm fine attacking in for 3. Opponent to 17. Here's Loam. 1, 2, 3. And 1 and 2. Let me Freestrider Lookout. Alright, there's a new Patchwork Automaton. Opponent didn't know. Oh, that's so good for me. Pick up a Wasteland. A2 with Ward. And that creature doesn't actually do any damage. I net a card out of that interaction. Seems good. Alright, so now let's find an Urza Saga. Boseiju would be the nuts as well. Nope. So, land drop, fetch. That's my last fetchable. So the fetch lands are now just put them in play and never actually fetch with them. And use them for Yavimaya mana. Where's my fucking Tato Farmers? Would I be willing to take a few points of damage to get 3 damage myself? Sure. Alright, opponent eats the damage. A land drop hits play. Freestrider Lookout is now good to go. That's a Kappa Cannoneer. I can technically Maze of Ith that. But it certainly will be a problem. So, junk this land. There's Bojuka Bog. Goodbye, Tato Farmer. I guess I will bog my opponent. This only triggers once each turn, unfortunately, so I can't, like, wasteland that again to get the effect that I want. Alright, Life from the Loams. What did we find? Dark Depths. There we go. That's more like it. Saga, Dark Depths, Wasteland. 1 and 2. Dark Depths. Saga. No Thespian stage yet, but honestly, I might be able to just fucking remove 10 ice counters. I have a lot of mana. Alright. Bobble grows my opponent's creatures. You may look at a card in my hand. There's not too many exciting things over here. Absolutely. I don't think this one is supposed to send in. All right. Maze of Ith, the Kappa, which is the largest. Freestrider Lookout, trigger. Ooh. Tapped or untapped? Tapped. Stage is insane. Boseiju is pretty damn cool with Wasteland. I Wasteland my own card, get it back with Life from the Loam, and start Boseijuing all of my opponent's shit. I think I'm just getting Stage. Pay for Ward. Kappa is not a problem. Block and trade with this. I don't need this card anymore. I can take 4 damage. Go to 11. End of turn, I will rip a couple of counters off of Dark Depths on the off chance that that becomes relevant. I do not expect it to be, but I can do it. -3 ice counters. Opponent can redraw some cards. Will dredge with Life from the Loam. The cards there aren't amazing. So I do 2 for Urza Saga. I do 2 for Dark Depths. I do 5 for Maze of Ith. I still easily have enough mana to cast this. Let's just do this now then. Target Dark Depths. Yeah. Keep the... which one has no ice counters? 7. This one has no ice counters. Life from the Loam, Dark Depths, Thespian Stage, some other card. 1 and 2. Thespian Stage, Dark Depths again. Your move. Patrick Automaton gets a little bigger. Kappa Cannoneer becomes unblockable. With Maze of Ith here, that doesn't actually matter though. That is slightly annoying in that that can block a Merit Lage and buy my opponent another turn. I already used Talon Gates. I have not used Talon Gates. It'll be fine then. Kappa Cannoneer comes in. I will maze it. You do not do damage. End of turn. Make an Urza Saga token just in case. I actually don't want to dredge. I want to get Expedition Map off of this. So 1 and 2. There's Expedition Map. Sacrifice Expedition Map. Get Talon Gates. Play Freestrider Lookout. Yeah, you can force it well. There's Emery. Alright. There's Talon Gates. Phase out the flyer. Ooh, okay, that was a slog. Took us most of our library to get through that, but we did get through it. GG. Okay, I don't mind. Force of Vigor, the Abrupt Decay that can't be countered is relevant versus ward stuff. Tabernacle is fine versus tokens. Blast Zone is a reasonable thing to do. And, like, a bunch of this stuff is reasonable, although perhaps not full-on good. Most of my utility lands are relevant here. And I know the Wastelands were not incredible that game, but I think I need them for Urza Sagas. I think I'm good saying no to Pithing Needle. I might need to cut these. I kind of want the Tato Farmers here, though. Like, non-ironically. Being able to mill things with Life from the Loam and then pick them up with the Tato Farmer is a way to make extra land drops in a matchup where I am likely to be behind. Maybe that the speed here is not appropriate. Raucous Bog, Maze, Talon Gates, Stage, Saga, Wasteland are all relevant. I think I need to cut 1 land to round things out, and I think I keep these 7. Is it a Tomb? It might be a Tomb since my life total is so precious. Alright. I'm gonna assume a hand with a Mox Diamond and these cards is fine. Having early access to crop rotation for Tabernacle is a pretty big deal. See what sort of crimes my opponent can do. There's an Emery. If I want, I can crop rotation that out of existence. Okay. No land. I think I'm going to do this. Getting rid of Talon Gates. And let's just yeet a Bayou away for Caracas. Alright, cool. Resolves. Caracas. Bounce Emery. And Freestrider Lookout. Plus bouncing Emery could be a thing that could potentially give me value further down the line. There's a Bauble. Notably, a basic island was milled over with Emery. Okay, opponent cycling immediately. Oh, nice. Nice, 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 nice. Opponent gets a redraw. Decay is totally solid. I'm going to pick up a new Bayou. And I won't get value off of this immediately, but it is a 3/3 threat that has a ton of potential value when my opponent has no lands. Alright, they found a land. There's an Opal. Metalcraft Online. Patchwork. Chalice. Do not care about that. Oh shit. Nice. Let's start here. Take that out, trigger the Lookout, see what I get from it. Saga, I think? Bam. And now I have to think about whether or not I want to just decay the Mox Opal on my opponent's turn. I think I do. Just stick them on resources. Bam. And bam. This is also committing a crime. Next turn, if I have Ancient Tomb, that is this. Plus Goyf guaranteed. Oh, opponent is cycling. And passing. Alright. Another Freestrider Lookout. Hell yeah. Mortuary. That's probably too many. I will get rid of that one. In for 3. On to 14. It wouldn't overly surprise me here if this does get countered. Down to 17. Nope. Opponents just got clunkers over there. That's yet another turn without mana. So there's a 2/2. There's a Loam as well. Okay, opponent has seen the writing on the wall. We were very dominant there. GG's. That is 3 wins in a row. We are guaranteed positive in the league. Let's see if we can convert this into a 4-1 after a round 1 loss. All right, my opening hand here is 1 land away from just being bananas with exploration and crop rotations and life from the loams that I can potentially chain together to do very disgusting things with. But if I miss the land drop, the hand just kind of does nothing. I'm gonna mulligan it. Buh. In Saga we trust. A Bloodstained Mire. And a Goblin Welder. Sure. Arm the Great Creator is a thing that I guess I theoretically need to be thinking about. But I think the way that I win this is beating down with Urza Saga tokens in the short term. So we are going to ignore Karn as a thing and start on the path of pain. There is sort of a worst case scenario where this turn exactly, I have to Bojuka Bog and I lose this Urza Saga. That is the disaster case for the current board. Volcanic Island. Fascinating. Are the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle cards out yet? Okay, sure. If they are, there's a new blue thing called Sewer Valence Cam that goes infinite with Goblin Welder. So my opponent can tap Goblin Welder targeting Surveillance Cam, Sewer Valence Cam, and flipping this. And they could repeat this to draw through their entire deck, which certainly with the artifact mana ends up killing me. Unfortunately, the worst case scenario has happened and I will be bogging. Get out of there. I will be recording an episode of the Eternal Glory podcast tonight that should be live by the time this episode goes live. That will talk about some of the Goblin Welder nonsense from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because there's actually 2 different cards that go infinite with Goblin Welder from it. Sewer Valence and some bullshit guacamole marshmallow pizza card. Uh-huh. Yes. That is bad. So sack Lotus Petal, weld Lotus Petal back into play, and I am dead. I guess I will surveil, attempt to find something that does something. Ancient Tomb is not something that does something. Is this your moment? In my upkeep? In my upkeep. So opponent will weld out. This gives them the 3rd mana to just grindstone me on turn 3. And it looks like my opponent is going a turbo route to Painter, given the amount of fast mana we saw in very, very few cards, which is kind of neat. GG. I'm probably in for Flute, Force of Vigor, Endurance, Spellbomb, Decay, Blast Zone, maybe not Tabernacle. This is a lot of cards. Alright, I think I'm treating this like a combo deck and doing the same thing like I've done before, and cut 4 of my 3-drops, make my deck leaner. Endurance is kind of a 0-drop for our purposes here. I don't think I can cut Caracas. I think there's a reasonable chance that my opponent has Emery. I would like to cut a land. I think with a bunch of these going out, a Blast Zone is okay. Do I want Sphere of Resistance as well, in which case the Ancient Tomb is actually good? Maybe I do want Spheres. I wouldn't want it versus regular Painter, but I don't think I'm looking at regular Painter. Go light on win conditions. I'm not going to have enough time to sideboard here. Light on win conditions. Don't play Endurance, question mark. Don't play Maze. Cut one of these and go down the map. This is almost certainly not correct. These are reasonable Magic the Gathering cards that I will keep. Hopefully Exploration plus Life from the Loam is fast enough to keep up with what my opponent is doing. Let's Bayou into Exploration, into Surveil Land. Put some extra things in the graveyard for Life from the Loam. I have a reasonable engine here that perhaps could get disrupted by Graveyard Hate. That is probably fine. I don't know that I Loam here. I think I'm gonna go bam bam, put the Lookout into play like this, and leave open crop rotation. If my opponent surveils thinking that Wasteland is tapped, I can just turn Underground Mortuary into another Wasteland, get my opponent that way, and then just use Life from the Loam synergies from there to do crimes. Alright, Volcanic Island. That is fine. I think we're going crop rotation, sack a land here, and I'm just going to do this to immediately Wasteland and trigger the Freestrider Lookout and get my value that way. And just assume that, like, Freestrider Lookout, Life from the Loam, Wasteland, Blast Zone is likely enough to win this matchup. Yava Maya? Or just Saga? Just Saga. Alright, opponent is responding. That'll be a basic if my opponent wants to play around my second Wasteland. Okay, there we go. Untimely Malfunction. Alright. So that should go after the Bayou as the only visible colored source. It does not. So now they need a counterspell as well, or I just pick right back up where I left off. Cool. So Loam, Wasteland, some green source, 1 and 2. All right. I think it is much better to just Wasteland my opponent and get Freestrider Lookout value than anything else here. I will pick up a new Urza Saga. There's a Verdant Catacombs. I'll attack for some damage and pass the turn. And if my opponent doesn't do anything, I can crop rotation away a land into an Ancient Tomb to activate Urza Saga, which I think I'm fine with just doing. Yeah. Ancient Tomb. Make friends. I'm fine dredging a Life from the Loam. So one of these gains an ability. The other is about to go away. I will make a friend. I'm about to Pithing Needle a Wooded Foothills. Bam. Get out of there. As much as I want to get the little Ghost Vacuum and start going to town that way, just denying my opponent mana and keeping them from playing Magic the Gathering is just probably correct. Let's get a Wasteland, a Bayou, and an Urza Saga. 1 and 2. There's Bayou. There's Wasteland. This is enough to activate Urza Saga, and I easily have lethal next turn. Probably even through that blocker. Activate Saga. Yep, there we go. GG. Alright, now I get a little more time to think about this. I didn't get any new information, but I get more time. I can get Endurance to help with the Painter stuff. Map and Talon Gates are reasonable. I don't know that I need Tabernacle. Freestrider Lookout is great. Do I still value the Sphere of Resistances as highly on the draw when my opponent can just kind of vomit out their stuff on turn 1 and get all of that artifact mana out of play? Maybe not. That can get 2 of these cards in here. I can probably turn an Ancient Tomb into an Endurance since I put another land back into the deck. And then I figure out how to get this one in there. Down 1 Dark Depths? Down 1 Dark Depths is reasonable, I think. I think I'm down a touch on lands in this boarding configuration. Lol. I think I will just ship this one. Second one is totally fine. I think I'm going to keep this and pitch the Urza Saga. I don't see that being amazing. My opponent's fastest possible hands are faster than what I can do, unfortunately. That's neat. I don't think I'm using it immediately, but that is neat. Ooh, I don't think I can resist that. Bam, bam. I think I'll junk Crop Rotation to make that happen. Yep. Ooh, no artifact to play. The Mighty attack for 1 with Goblin Welder? Negative. I believe that I am fine not removing Welder right now. I think my opponent's previous turn would have been better if they had, like, fast mana. So I think this is okay, and I answer it the following turn. Alright, Opal, Petal. Alright, they did have the fast mana. Alright, they're just going to convert Petal into a long-term resource. And they're going to extrude. That'll just be 2 damage to my face. Okay, I don't mind drawing a second Abrupt Decay there. This is 2 to activate. I think I'm going to go ahead and send in for 3. Bring opponent to 17. I am afraid of Goblin Welder shenanigans, so let's just answer that card. I'll find a Wasteland. Not enough mana for the Untimely Malfunction. There's another land drop. A Painter's Servant. Scary. Now this is active. Not super interested in Mox Diamond here. I think I'm just passing. Unless my opponent taps this mana, at which case I've got some moves. I don't really want to Wasteland the Legion Extruder immediately and have my opponent just kind of cycle it. And I'd like to get value off of both Wasteland and, yeah, that's fine. Wasteland and Abrupt Decay. I think I'm going to surveil and see what I'm looking at here. Then use that to help inform whether or not I want to cast a spell. Okay, that's fine then. Let's just let that go to the graveyard. And now I can be fine Wastelanding Great Furnace, and if opponent wants to convert that into a 3/3, potentially fetching another non-basic land, I think I'm good with that. Yeah. Take another one. Opponent fetches. How many mountains you got? Ah, nice. That is fine. You may extrude. I think I'm good there. Will dredge. Let's start here on this volcanic island. Trigger the Freestrider Lookout. Pick up Caracas for my trouble. I've not played a land yet, so we'll go Life from the Loam, go Wasteland, Dark Depths, Wasteland. Wait, hold on. I would like Misty for one of those. Misty, Wasteland, Wasteland. Oh, I guess I have Mox Diamond, so it doesn't actually matter. So then I can go Mox Diamond and discard the Misty. Play out a Wasteland, and I'll just chill here. Petal is fine. Golem token crashes in. I think the Extruder is currently the biggest short-term problem. Alright, so opponent is going to go in for another token. Talon Gates of Madara. Sure. I will do that and just phase out the thing that is currently attacking me. Save some life. And then hopefully find something busted with Life from the Loam to do over the next few turns. I'll pick up Dark Depths for the future. 1, 2, 3. Bam. And bam. A 1 for Talon Gates of Madara. What? Dark Depths, Misty, Wooded Foothills. 1, 2. Oh, I must have clicked on a filter. I already have a Wasteland in play. I think I just get a Dark Depths going. And pass turn. Is Tabernacle currently in my deck? Tabernacle and Maze are both not in my deck, actually. I guess I'm looking for a stage. I think I am taking this hit. I am at 9. I will remove an ice counter. I'm not willing to pay extra for that. Dredge. Oof. Ghost Vacuum is gone. Is there a timeline where I wasteland my own Talon Gates? Wasteland Talon Gates. Yeah. Alright. Little weird here. The Wasteland Talon Gates. Life from the Loam. 1, 2, 3. And I can just use the 4 mana ability of Talon Gates to put it into play. And that's my pseudo exploration. Reasonable. This will also trigger Freestrider Lookout. Weird game. So 4 mana for Talon Gates. Phase out a creature, and we're just fishing for Thespian Stage at this point. Urza Saga is a fine pickup as well. I think with the Urza Saga now, I can probably just outright trade. Although this means that my opponent gets to attack with these next turn. No, I'll take the hit. All right, 6. Ooh. Shit. That'll do. Dead. That means that my opponent takes that one down. But we were positive in the league overall. GG. Let's go ahead and wrap this one up. Overall thoughts on the deck list. Totally solid, although I am a little sad that I never drew a Tato Farmer or 6 in any Game 1 circumstances. Robert, I think this deck is fine. It's a little weird having this many creatures while wanting to dredge Life from the Loam. Like, the creatures are just things that you can't hit. It does kind of leave your opponent in a weird situation where removal is good against those creatures, but bad against all the land-based stuff you are doing. I flip-flopped a lot of different things in and out of the deck. We faced a lot of faster decks and combo decks today, meaning that I wanted to trim on 3-drops, and that was always going to be true. It is possible that in some of the rounds where I kept Barrogoyf in, Tato Farmer or 6 would have been better. The overall balance of lands felt pretty good, although I will say that I am happy that I added a few more colorless sources a few more colored sources into the deck, because there absolutely were opening hands in situations where we could just be taken off of green outright. I don't know that what we're doing here is better than the established lands deck, but it was certainly fun, and we had some really, really intricate games. So I think I will go ahead and call it a day there. Folks, I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!